The moment she grabbed my wrist, everything inside me froze. Her fingers were cold, ice cold, and trembling hard enough that the bracelets on her arm rattled like little alarm bells. She pulled me close through the noise of the wedding reception, pulled me so close that I could smell the faint perfume on her skin and the nerves radiating off her like heat. And then she whispered, "Avoid the VIPs." 3 small words. 3 words that didn't belong at a wedding. 3 words that felt like the beginning of something breaking. I blinked. What? Why? Her eyes darted toward the far side of the ballroom, where the section reserved for high-ranking guests sat, military officials, politicians, people used to being watched and feared. Then she leaned closer, voice barely audible. "Especially him." I tried to laugh it off. "Who is him? Your ex? Someone who owes you money? Your childhood dentist?" Nothing. No smile. No eye roll. No teasing. Only fear. The bride, my oldest friend, had fear written across her face on the happiest night of her life. Her husband called her name. She forced a bright smile, the kind brides are supposed to have, and before walking away, her lips shaped a single name. A name I hadn't heard in months. A name I didn't expect tonight. A name that punched my heartbeat into my throat. She whispered it like a confession. "The General." Then she slipped away, arm in arm with her new husband as if nothing had happened at all. The reception surged on around me. Music. Toasts. Laughter. Dancing. None of it felt real anymore. My mind raced back through old memories, late-night conversations, things she once hinted at, things I ignored. All of it suddenly felt connected. All of it suddenly felt wrong. I scanned the VIP area. Empty. For the moment. I shook myself and tried to act normal. Weddings were supposed to be joyful, messy, emotional, but not like this. Not with warnings whispered like secret codes. Not with dread crawling across my skin like cold fog. I told myself I was overreacting. That she was stressed. That I'd misunderstood. But then the music changed. And the room went still. It was subtle, just a ripple through the crowd. A sudden quiet that spread like a wave. People turned toward the doors without knowing why. I knew why. Because some people carry gravity with them. And even before they enter, the air shifts. He arrived without escort, without announcement, without even glancing at the stage set up for the couple's first dance. General Hartwell. Tall. Imposing. Metals gleaming. Eyes sharp enough to cut glass. He didn't look at the bride. He didn't look at her new husband. He looked at me. Directly. Purposefully. Like a man walking toward a decision he had already made. My stomach twisted. He walked across the ballroom with the calm certainty of someone who expected the world to split open at his feet if necessary. Guests whispered, "Is that? Why is he here? Should someone tell the groom?" The general reached me, took my hand in his, and said my name in a tone I had never heard from him. Thomas. Just my name. But spoken like a warning. A warning wrapped in a truth I wasn't ready to hear. "I need a moment," he said quietly. "Come with me." I swallowed hard. "General, this is..." "I'm aware where we are," he cut in. "And that's exactly why we must speak." He didn't drag me. He didn't force me. He simply looked at me in the way he always did, like he already knew what I would choose. And damn it, he was right. I followed him out of the ballroom, out of the music, out of the safety of pretending nothing was wrong. We stood alone in a quiet hallway near the restrooms, where the sounds of the wedding drifted in faintly like echoes from a different world. He folded his hands behind his back, posture rigid. "You received her warning," he said. It wasn't a question. I nodded slowly. "Good," he said. "It confirms she hasn't completely lost her sense of judgment." "What's going on?" I demanded. "Why is she terrified of you? Why tell me to avoid the VIPs? Why are you even here?" His expression didn't change, but something fierce flickered in his eyes. "You are not safe around certain people tonight," he said. "And she knows that." "Safe from who?" I asked. "Safe from you." A humorless breath escaped him. Not quite a laugh. "No, Thomas. If I were your problem, you'd already know." My palms were numb. "Then who?" I whispered. He reached into his coat and produced a photograph. He set it carefully on the narrow table beside the hallway window. One look was enough. My heart stuttered. It was the bride. 2 nights before the wedding. In an unfamiliar apartment. With a man's hand on the small of her back. A man who was definitely not her groom. She was smiling. Not the forced kind. Not the polite kind. The real kind. The intimate kind. I tasted something metallic in my mouth. Who is he? I asked, voice cracking. The general didn't answer immediately. He watched me, studying every emotion passing across my face. Finally he said, "You already know." But I didn't. And I didn't want to guess. He leaned in slightly. "Watch her tonight. Watch him. The truth always reveals itself in how people try to hide." His voice dropped lower. "And when it does, you will understand why she needed you here." My mouth went dry. "She told me to avoid the VIP section," I whispered. "Yes," he said. "Because one of them knows what she did. And he doesn't want you near him." "Why me?" The general's jaw tightened. "Because you are the only person she cannot lie to." His words hit me harder than anything else. I looked back at the photograph. Everything I believed about her. Her loyalty, her honesty, her love. Shook like glass in an earthquake. "Why show me this?" I asked. "Because you must be ready," he replied. "When the truth opens, it opens fast." Before I could respond, a burst of laughter from the ballroom echoed down the corridor, sharp and bright, completely at odds with the storm now churning inside me. General Hartwell stepped back, his expression unreadable. "Stay alert tonight," he said, "and trust your instincts." Then he walked away, leaving me standing there, staring at the photo, feeling my entire world shift beneath my feet. I didn't go back into the ballroom right away. I stood in that empty hallway, staring at the photograph the general had left behind, my heartbeat pulsing hard against my ribs. The bride's expression in the picture wouldn't leave me. Soft, unguarded, almost glowing. A face she never showed her husband. A face she never even showed me. The worst part was how familiar the man beside her looked. Yet my mind scrambled desperately not to identify him. Denial is a powerful thing. It fights for survival like an animal. Eventually, I forced myself to return to the wedding. I saw her immediately. The bride. My closest friend. She was laughing, holding her husband's arm, greeting guests with the well-trained grace of a woman who had prepared for her big day her whole life. But I saw past it. I saw the way her smile twitched a fraction of a second too late. I saw how her eyes darted toward the VIP section. I saw the guilt hanging off her like heavy fabric. And then I saw him. The Colonel. Colonel Elias Vaughn, her husband's close friend, frequent dinner guest, charismatic, sharp, admired. He stood in the VIP area talking with another officer, pretending everything was normal. But the moment he noticed her, he straightened. His jaw tightened. His gaze flickered like a flame in wind. They didn't touch. They didn't speak. They didn't even stand close. But their eyes said everything. I understood then. The general wasn't warning me out of cruelty. He was warning me out of necessity. Because secrets at a wedding don't stay quiet for long. That night changed something in me. I couldn't celebrate. I couldn't pretend. Instead, I watched, carefully, painfully, as the invisible thread between the bride and the colonel stretched thin, vibrating with things unspoken. When the couple cut the cake, she looked radiant. But as soon as her husband turned away, her smile fell. When the colonel toasted the newlyweds, his voice was even polite. But his eyes stayed locked on her too long. When I walked past her, she grabbed my hand. "Don't talk to him," she whispered urgently. Her voice cracked like something fragile. "Please, just go home." But I didn't, because I finally understood. She wasn't afraid of the general. She wasn't afraid of the guests. She wasn't even afraid of being caught. She was afraid I would learn the truth. And that terrified her more than anything. For days afterward, everything felt wrong. Her calls. Her excuses. Her fast explanations for why she hadn't been home one night or why her messages were slow the next. I noticed everything now. I noticed too much. Her husband, kind, loyal, trusting, had no idea. He praised her constantly. He planned their honeymoon. He told me how lucky he felt. The guilt weighed on me like lead. The general had dragged me into something I wasn't prepared for. But he was right. I was the one person she couldn't lie to. After a week of watching my life spin into a sickening mess, I confronted her. I didn't plan it. Didn't prepare a speech. I simply walked into her apartment one evening while her husband was working late. She froze. Thomas, what are you doing here? Her voice carried exhaustion and fear. We need to talk, I said quietly. About what? About the Colonel. She flinched visibly. For a moment she tried to compose herself, but her facade cracked fast. She sank onto the couch, fingers covering her mouth. I didn't want you to know, she whispered. Not you. I sat across from her. Then why warn me? Because I couldn't let you stand close to him, she said. You'd see everything. You always do. We sat in silence. Heavy. Cold. Full of truths we didn't want. Finally she spoke. It happened before the engagement, she said. I was confused. Lonely. Stupid. Pick whichever word hurts me most. I deserve it. Tears slipped down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them. But I ended it, she continued. Or I thought I did. Then the wedding planning started and, I don't know. Everything spiraled. And you kept seeing him, I said. She nodded miserably. I wasn't in love, but I wasn't brave either. He's your husband's friend. I know, she snapped, voice breaking. You think I don't know how terrible this looks? How terrible it is. She buried her face in her hands. I ruined my own wedding, she sobbed. I ruined everything. I didn't speak, because I didn't know what to say. I had known her my whole life. I had seen her laugh, fight, fail, heal. But I had never seen her break like this. And it broke something in me too. The fallout came 2 weeks later. It happened at a rehearsal dinner for another couple. Small event, quiet music, dim lighting. She and her husband attended, trying to act normal, pretending nothing was wrong. Then the general entered. And the Colonel followed behind him. Silence flooded the room instantly, thick, suffocating. Hartwell didn't make a speech. He didn't lecture. He simply placed his phone on the table, screen turned outward, displaying the message thread between her and the Colonel. Her husband stared at it. A long, aching, terrible moment passed. Then he looked up, eyes glossy, voice trembling. Tell me this isn't real. She broke down immediately. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I'm sorry. Her husband stood, shaking. The Colonel looked like he was carved out of stone. The general simply watched, calm, distant, unflinching. And I felt like the world had tilted under me. Like everything was collapsing in slow motion. The bride didn't look at her husband. She didn't look at the Colonel. She looked at me. Her eyes were desperate. I didn't want you to see this, she whispered. My throat tightened painfully. You should have told him, I said. She cried harder. Later that night, outside the venue, we sat on the curb like two children lost in a city too big for them. She hugged her knees. Her mascara was smudged. Her voice was barely a breath. Do you hate me now? I stared at the empty parking lot. I don't know, I said honestly. She nodded. I wish I had told you first, she said. Before it all exploded. Before he found out. Before everything. Why didn't you? She hesitated. Because you're the only person whose disappointment I can't handle. The words hit harder than any confession. I looked away so she wouldn't see the pain on my face. Months passed. She and her husband began therapy. The Colonel disappeared from their social circle. The general faded back into whatever world he came from. Life moved on, but slower, heavier, full of scars. One quiet afternoon, Hartwell asked to meet. He handed me a laminated paper with a list of names. People tied to a network of secrecy, silent pressures, and broken loyalties. Her name was there. Mine wasn't. You held the line, he said. I didn't do anything, I muttered. Yes, you did, he replied. You told the truth when it mattered. He placed a hand on my shoulder. That is rarer than you think. Then he walked away. Years later, her husband asked me why I hadn't warned him sooner. Why I stayed silent. I told him the only truth I had left. Because I thought the truth would be kinder if it waited. He understood. Painfully. Completely. Because betrayal isn't simple. It's a storm that pulls everyone in. Not just the ones who caused it. And somehow we survive it anyway.